Hi everybody, it's TJ with netpicks.com and the Trend Jumper Trade Strategy. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to go through a bunch of markets, so I'm going to move quickly today. It's a spectacular day in the markets. The Trend Jumper has been on fire with hardly a losing session on any of these markets, and today was no different. Literally a winning session on every single market yet again. So let's walk through some trades. I'll show you the trades I was taking in crude oil. That's the first thing I'll show you. And that first trade came right here at 9 o'clock, right when the pit opens. We have a short at 87.34. Going to the middle target, 15 ticks or less. Hit it no problem for 25 cents. That was 250 bucks. And I was trailing the jump line, and that one stopped out right here at 87.16 for 18 cents. So first trade right out the gate, a really great winner. I need two winners in positive for crude oil as per my trade plan, so I kept trading. Unfortunately, I just didn't get a setup for this leg down. That's going to happen once in a while, and instead I ended up getting this setup, and that one was a loss. That one went from 86.59 to 86.81. I made a little adjustment around the key level here. That one stopped out. That one lost 22 cents per position. So at this point, right around break-even-ish, maybe a little bit underwater, and I needed one more winner. Okay, so the next trade was at 9:33, and that's during our stand-down time. We stand down between 9:25 and 9:35, and then it triggered in at 9:34, and it hit the first target. I could not get in sync. I had to let that one go. It was a shame because it was a nice winner. So I'm still waiting for one more winner. Avoided a long trade here due to our rules, even though it was a small winner. I avoided this trade because of the small adjustment above the swing level, and it never triggered in, and instead I ended up taking the short trade as my next trade. 86.36. Now on this trade I would normally adjust that down to 34, but I looked to my left and I saw there was a swing level at 38, and since it already broke through the swing level to hit the entry, I did not adjust from 36 to 34. Just one of the little nuances I use. I'll put my chart levels in front of some of these key levels. I don't need to adjust around because it already broke through the swing level. And that one was going to the third target because of the small trade, and it hit it no problem, 86.20, and that gave me 14 cents. And then I trailed the trigger line, and that turned out to be pretty nice. It came down lower, and then finally here 86.12. Actually, I had my stop at 86.16, and that one went to 13. So that stayed in, and then right here at 86.06, that one ends up stopping out at 86.08. And that was it. A pretty decent session. Took about an hour and, 15 minutes. An hour and 15 minutes, and I ended up with 39 cents with the two positions for the three trades. 39 cents. For 390 bucks plus some trade costs. Not bad. All right, let's jump over to the PM real quick. On the PM, I go for power of quitting 1. I'm looking for one trade and a positive result. So if I don't get it on the first trade, I'll take another trade, and I'll go all the way to 14:30, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So 1 p.m. New York time, 1300 on the chart here is my first setup. I had a short that didn't trigger in, and I ended up getting this long trade. And it's a small trade. I got to adjust 2 cents around the $85 level, which I had no problem carving through. Sometimes, though, that really puts up a fight. And I had to go to the third target to get a big enough target there, and I had no problems getting to it. That was good for 14 cents. I started trailing the jump line, and then it closed. Actually, it had to be this one, the last bar, to close above it. 09. Put my stop at 07. It came down and hit it, and I only got 6 cents on the trailer. But 20 cents, one trade, 200 bucks, done for the session. All right, next up, let's look at the Russell E-mini early AM session. All right, here we go. 9:32 is our start time. I want you to notice on all these charts, I don't change one thing, not one setting, nothing. Okay, so 9:29, I need to start at 9:32. That was an early winner, but it was before our start time. So the first trade was this short one 810.4, adjusting off the 5 to 811.6, adjusting off the 5. And that was a little trade, and it ended up losing. And that lost 12 ticks per position, 24 ticks in total. Looking for another trade, no setup here. Finally, I get a short right there, and it goes from 809.4. Got to adjust again, and it has no problems getting to the third target because of the small trade, 808.6. And that was only good for 8 ticks. And then it ended up stopping out at the same level. So all in all, 16 ticks on 2 trades. Still negative. Need one more winner to be positive. This trade canceled because it closes above here. You learn this in the rules when you learn the trend jumper system. Had a trade right there, another small trade. This one did get to the middle target, but it has to travel the minimum amount of ticks before the stop gets moved. Here it only went 9 ticks. It needs to go 10, and that was enough to keep the trade in. It ended up hitting that full target as well. That was good for 12 ticks. And then it came up and stopped out, and that was only good for 7 ticks. So, you know, fighting our way back, not the best setups, not a lot of, you know, the setups were small, but we ended up with an 11 tick net result, and that's our power of quitting. Take what the market will give us. Other days we'll get 5 points, other days we might get 12 points. Yesterday we only got 9 ticks, today we got 11 ticks, Monday we got 27 ticks. It's just how it goes. Power of quitting is dynamic, and it works on a day-to-day, chart-to-chart, market-to-market basis, taking what the market wants to give us, allowing us to quit positive on most sessions, and that's what we've been doing. Let's jump over to the late AM session. Actually, we're right there, 10:30, and here it is. This would have been an add-on trade to this trade, but I just take the first setup when starting a new session. Separate power of quitting goals, separate everything. That particular trade happens to be a loss, unfortunately. It just ticks in and ticks out, 804.3 to 805.6. All right, so looking for another trade now, and that happened a little bit later, right there at 10:49, 804.4, going to the third target due to the small trade. No problem getting there. 802.9. That was good for 15 ticks, and then trailed it a little bit further down to here, stopping out at 802.2 for 22 ticks more. Those 2 trades netted out to 11 ticks. Still need my power of quitting 2 on this session, and I'm looking for my next setup once I stop out right here, and there's a small little trade right there. When I take trades like this, I just ignore the targets and just use my jump line as my exit. And in this case, though, it exited at the full loss. Didn't go far enough to move my stop, and that was a 7-cent or 7-tick loss per position. So that lost 14 ticks. I need one more winner for power of quitting in the late session, and I got it here on the next trade, the 4th trade of the late session, and that one had no problem getting to that full target. It was 12 ticks to the third target, and it trailed all the way down to here, actually not stopping out until here, 800.1, and that was good for another 27 ticks. So all in all, 36 ticks on the PM session today. Better than the AM session. That's going to happen sometimes. Trend Jumper won on the Dowie Mini 377 tick. It won 1 out of 2 trades for 17 points on the Dowie Mini. It also had one nice winner on the NASDAQ E-mini 610 tick for 7.25 points, and it won on the S&P E-mini on the 2000 tick. Won 1 out of 2 trades for 3.25 points. Let me jump over to heating oil and unleaded gas. I want to show you those, and then I think we'll finish up with wheat futures if we still have time. Heating oil futures are a real great market to trade. It's a little more thinly traded, so you do get some slippage from time to time, but I think it makes up for it in the great moves. I'm using a 20-tick momentum range bar. Right at 9 o'clock is when I want to start taking trades. $4.20 per tick. Let me show you what happened. The first trade triggered in, and this is something I was demoing in the live trade room today. At 9:01 was the setup. Got in moments later, and we're getting in at 256, and I'm going to adjust that down to 5.4, and I might even go to 5.3 due to that swing level there. It's probably a good idea, actually. You're going to the third target, 0218, and it just had, I see this all the time early in the session. It had no problems once again getting there, and then I just trail the jump line. And in this case, it didn't get very far. It stopped out 2 ticks above right here. But I was able to get 38 ticks to the full target and then 29 ticks on the trailer. And there were a lot more good trades, but I'm using Power of Quitting 1. And so that's all she wrote on heating oil today. A very quick and easy trade. And notice that trade finished at 9:08, so 7-minute trade. And that was good for $281. So calculate that per hour for a 40-hour week, and you could see why I really like trading heating oil. Let's take a quick look at unleaded gas, because that's another one like this. And on RB, I'm going to handle this much the same way as heating oil, except I'm using a 33 tick. Let me change that. 33 tick momentum range bar. And I'm starting it right at 9 o'clock again. You might not be able to trade both these at the same time. If both trades come in at the same time, like this happened at 9:01, same time as the heating oil. And this one's also $4.20 a tick. It has no problems going from 6671. Do I have to adjust down to 69? Well, I don't really see any reason to. It's kind of in the middle of open space. You could, I suppose. Really trying to hold my adjustments to a minimum. So if you didn't adjust, no problem. And it gets to 6607. That was good for 64 ticks unadjusted. 64 ticks times $4.20 a tick. But check this out. This trade kept going. And this is what I love about this market. It didn't stop out until all the way down here. 64.36. And that was good for 235 more ticks. This one trade got 299 ticks at $4.20 a tick. It was good for $1,256 and finished literally in 25 minutes. Say 24 minutes even. Pretty cool. Alright, next up are wheat futures. I use a 200 tick on wheat. I've had a ton of success with this using a 5 tick momentum range bar with the SST. So with Trend Jumper I wanted to look at something different. So the 200 tick seems to be working really well. I'm looking to start at 9:30. Here's 9:29. Here's 9:30, but it canceled and instead I got a long trade. Still at 9:30. 880.25. Make one tick off. Adjustment off that key level, going to the third target, 884.5. This is $12.50 a tick or $50 a point, just like the S&P E-mini. And look at that, no problem getting up to the full target, and that was good for 4.25 points. And then look what happened to the second position. Definitely some nice add-on possibilities here and here. But just sticking with the one position approach or the one trade approach with two positions, it came off at 894.25, and that was good for another 14 points. This one trade netted 18.25 points for over $900. And I know I told you this would be the last one I'd show you today, but I will show you one more for our European friends, the Eurobund FGBL. Alright, so this one is during European hours, and this is during the Eurex. So exchange time, that's what the chart's set to, 9 a.m. exchange time is our start time. And before we get started, let me turn this to the 233 tick. Alright, so I got my first setup right at 9 o'clock. It jumped in at 141.93. Had relatively no problem getting to that third target of 142.01. That was good for 8 ticks or 80 euros. Definitely could add to your position on markets that trend as well as this one, and this would have been very profitable. Could have kept adding if you wanted, although that one would have, second one would have just hit the money management level, would have stopped out for no gain, and these wouldn't have triggered in. But again, just following the single position, keep things consistent. This stop actually was adjusted down to 04, and so it never stopped out. It actually came up higher and didn't stop out until here, 09, right there. And so it ended up being another 16 ticks, $160 more on the trailer, 24 ticks in total, 240 euros, I should say, not bucks, but euros, 240 euros. Really great session to trade for the European traders. The DAX also, although that one I think is riskier, and I'm still getting used to the DAX. I definitely think that this Euro Bund is a much smoother and more consistent winner at this point. All right, I gave you a lot to look at. Hopefully you get a great sense and feel for what the trend jumper is doing on a fairly steady basis. Notice I didn't change a single thing. Stayed with the basic trade plans across the board other than different power of quitting, 1s or 2s, and that's it. Definitely want to make sure that you are registered for the up-and-coming release party webinar on November 12th. And I look forward to seeing you all there. Thanks for joining me, everybody. This is TJ with the TJ, the Trend Jumper, and netpicks.com. See you next time.